Well, folks, we apologize for slight delay, but some conversations were had with regards to some IRL stuff, and I'm just going to be posting this small little thing that I made as a means of celebrating the fact that SKL made it to 200 episodes,
Hooray!
Hey!
and that will now
Hi, Sean.
Hello.
and that's now appeared there. Hey, Sean, how you doing? That's a point. Need to get the music going. There we go. So I shall open up with this. Some 5 years ago, I was looking for something to do for a live stream on a weekly basis. I had been doing the occasional WWE preview and review panel for the major pay-per-views, and I enjoyed the interaction and camaraderie from the panelists and the audience. And to that end, September 4, 2017, myself, the Prez, and Oni Rikaku would essentially ramble on for 3 hours whilst Oni was playing Sonic Mania and complaining about Darkside Phil, while I was trying to dig up topics to cover and just providing a relaxed atmosphere where we just chilled. And it's also where we heard the first iteration from the Prez and A-Log of Lydia, oh Lydia, oh Lydia.
Oh, jeez.
SKO kind of started like RDR back in the day. We'd go in with no script and just wing it. Whereas going through season 1, things became more structured. We'd find topics to discuss and some random topics that viewers would provide. Some of them were Dan's. And a couple of them from Sean. Like turbocharged Thunderbirds. Sir.
Oh no, I'm so mad at him for that.
Good old Aaron.
Oh, it was Aaron. Beg your pardon, sir. Beg your pardon. Beg your pardon.
It's
But,
okay.
but still, Aaron, we have several questions. From cameos from Random DTE to the Prez, Mr. Dorkaku, the show hasn't had too many guests on, but I think the show has worked better when it's just 5 to 6 core co-hosts. I think some of the more memorable moments is when Raiden discovering the anomaly that was Chad Warden.
Oh, boy.
Dear God.
To then 4 years later, four of us bear witnessing the trailer to Karen.
Ah,
Oh, dear.
no.
Oh God, I wish they caught my left eye was dying.
I remember hearing the playback of that. You were on the floor laughing. I'd never heard you laugh like that before. And then seeing Double Toasted's reaction to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, Billy was gone. It was also where one Madame President met Mr. Rakaku. Lids knew of Oni courtesy of the madcap years that Rawdown Rebound had provided from August 2011 to May 2014, and especially after Season 7 and the Authorita angle, we were glad to be done with it at the time. They got talking with each other, and you know the rest. There was the move to Twitch in 2022, and it's not necessarily gone the way we would have liked compared to when we were streaming on YT, but it's like anything. You have to start somewhere and slowly build yourself up. Oni's had to do the same, as well as Madam President, which once again, congratulations on the affiliation. Fully deserved. I have a feeling my time will come, but it's like anything. Timing happens for a reason. SKL has been a nice distraction for what had been going on in the world at the time, from the world event in 2020 to the slap from Mr. Smith nearly a year ago. We're here to entertain you and help you take your mind off of life for a few hours. Long may it continue. As Steve said, oh, Dan says, congratulations on 200 episodes, thank you. Sean says, by the way, I saw Puss in Boots The Last Wish the other day, and I highly recommend it. Okay.
Yeah, I've heard that's been getting a lot of good praise lately.
Yeah.
It took a while, although for some reason in our cinema, it took a while for the higher-ups to actually get it in there, but we did, and it got a fair bit. It got a fair bit of people in there.
Well, sometimes if it's like Triple H said to Cody, because Cody was recanting a story from when Cody was Stardust back in 2014. Just said Triple H just said to him, "Rattle the cages, do what you have to do to get noticed. Just if you have to start banging against the wall, do it." Now we kind of covered the fact that SKL's 5 years young. Earlier, around, I think either last September or we did like a early 5 year retrospective. But whenever you get to like milestone episodes, it's kind of a necessity just to recover it again and what have you. And yeah, I like to think that the podcast has done well for what it has done on Twitch, even though with YouTube it would vary week to week with views and what have you, but it is what it is. I would prefer it if Wynn's IRL situation would allow her to be on here a little more. And for context, folks, it's nothing serious. It's just when you're living with one of your relatives and that relative has young children, watching what you say is paramount. You it's just one of those things you have to. And I'd love it if we could have more of her time, but it's a case of when she's here, savor those moments, because
be grateful.
Because when she came on during episode 174, which was just a week after the Oscars last year, that was the first time probably since the season finale episode in December 2020 that we had her on here. Because, like me, Wynn's had her issues to deal with and what have you the last few years. I'm not going to go into anything further than that because, one, we try to keep as much IRL out of these things as possible, and two, it's none of my business. But, I like to think we do okay when we don't have the whole original OG squad for these live streams, because Kaiju's really busy promoting his book and dealing with some other things IRL. So, when it's just the four of us, it's just as fine. It just means I've got to be more on top of my game because Kaiju's kind of the backbone that kind of holds us all together. But in the absence of one is opportunity for other people to step their game up a little bit. So yeah. If I've asked these questions before, Steve, do disregard them if I have, because unfortunately sometimes my memory skips a beat. What were your thoughts of SKL when it originally came out, and how do you think it compares to what we have now?
Oh, that is a tough one. Well, I ended up first watching SKL mainly because I used, during my night job at a certain store, and I just joined in whenever I could, just spitballing a few things and trying to add to the conversation. When I was able to adjust my schedule and on occasions was able to join you during the first early few seasons, it just kind of made my week for me. Just having that interaction with you guys.
Well, we appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Just watching the show evolve into a more structured form from what it originally was, just shows how far, in terms of streaming, and well, in my opinion, that you've come. Having a clear set of ideas and topics to talk about, and just getting everybody's opinion on it.
Hmm. All right.
And again,
Oh, go on.
I'm grateful for you for everyone here to allow me to join in on the streams.
Well, I think it's like for a lot of situations is when you're. And this could be not just live streams, but it'd be like group situations in general. In real life, when you feel excluded from so many things, what do? You go create your own. You know, again, it's all about, you see. Something that I remember Nick Nugent once saying: "See a need, fill it." So you see you see a gap in something. It's like, okay, I'll take that. I'll make something out of it. Let's say, for the sake of discussion, Raiden wants to make a Muay Thai hip hop album. It's like, I'd seen no albums like this before. I'll go make one. And why not? I'd buy it. And speaking of the Zen Master, same questions to you. Where do you feel like the podcast is compared to what it initially started as, and how do you feel about it in general?
Well, first time I remember, especially while that rerun started, I think when I joined them in 2015 with the Summer Review and after Republic Leave, I think, it was a little bit, just like, half structure, but a little like too many cooks situation, and that's how I kind of felt with SKL. But I still had fun doing it. There was a lot of like, there were times that it would go on like, the hour will be like a 2-night WrestleMania, and Lord knows we don't want that. We didn't want that.
No.
And I feel like over the years we just got more structured. We got more. Well, our personalities were already built in, but a lot of people just knew about us. What like, not like what we've really gone through in IRL, but like little inklings.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, which is pretty cool. I think with now, I think we're at a place where we're getting more well structured. We're getting more eyes on the product. I mean, there's old people that've been in the beginning. There's new people who've seen what we really are. And honestly, for me, I feel like it really helped out that it helped me fix myself a little bit. Especially in the real world. I like talking about topics. I like talking about this. A lot of times, just like SKO, it was a little scatterbrained. But now I can actually able to talk with you guys. Just like, we agree to disagree about things, do this, that. But at the end of the day, we're all the same.
Yeah.
You've gone through so much shit, but like, but we're still here. We're still talking what we love. Like you said, leave that real life drama behind.
Yeah.
Meet in the whole world. Speak with us. No need for that. Talk about things you like, things you don't like. At the end of the day, just keep things like, what's the word? Just balance. And I feel like that's what SKL is now. Balance topics with things you like, things you don't like, and honestly, it's been one hell of a ride, and I'm glad we never continue to see what that I care for. With that.
All right. And last but never least, Madam President, same questions to you.
Like again, I have a lot of like again. I've been around here since the beginning, and it all started because a certain adorable one decided to ask if she wanted to join. Because quite frankly, I kind of wanted in on the fun too. I wasn't trying to jump in or steal her thunder or anything like that, but it's like I wanted to join in because again, at the time, I was kind of friendless. I had barely any people to interact with, and like that was before I started playing D&D with a lot of my friends, and well, with now people I consider my friends. And I'm glad I went ahead and decided to ask if I could join in because it's been like not it's been a life-changing experience, not just in the internet spectrum but in real life. I literally just got I literally moved across the country to be with the man that I love, and I can't say anything about that. It's just I can't really add anything to that. I'm just like I've had like a really good run here, and I love it here. It's like you guys are like I consider one of my very good friends. If anything, you're some of my best friends. So
Likewise.
So again, I can't really add anything to that, and I'm what everyone said has been said, and I can't really add anything to that, and I want to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So all in all, I can't add anything else. I'm glad I'm here, and I'm glad I'm still here.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm actually going to try something a tiny little bit different with this next topic, because we like to try and do some things that are a little bit different. Oh no, I don't want that particular image that size. I need something. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that. Hang on. No. I'm trying to. Oh, can you just? That's it. That's what I'm trying to do. There is a method to what I'm doing at the moment, folks. So just bear with me a second with the madness.
As long as it's not a substance there.
No.
Oh no.
No. The topic of discussion, open discussion, this will apply more so with the three of us than you, Stephen, because this concerns the WWE. The open topic is the WWE brand split. Do we really need it now? And I'm not going to go in with like an over-prepared statement, but we have New Japan Pro Wrestling. We have Impact Wrestling. Alright. It's not in the same presence as AEW, WWE, or New Japan Pro Wrestling, but from what I've been hearing, it's a lot more well-structured and well-managed compared to what it was, say, around 2013, 2014, when they made the mistake of going on the road and they found out it cost $600,000 to do the tapings per episode. They should have stayed in the Universal Center in Florida, just saying. But you have all these other promotions, and you still have WWE split into Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Now, for context, for those who may be not in the know, this is not the first time the WWE has done a draft split or a brand split, brand extension, whatever the term you choose to affiliate with it. They did this originally back in 2002 because WCW and ECW were gone. Both of them were acquired by WWE, and it was seen as a means of trying to have some form of competition, so they were competing with themselves. But since the rise of all these other promotions, because I think this was one of the reasons why they did away with the brand split in 2011, it's just like, well, we have these other promotions here. Do we really need to have this brand split in? And I kind of see why they did it again in 2016. But again, you have AEW, which is probably at this moment in time on American soil is almost on par with WWE. Almost. They've still got... AEW's not perfect. It has its own things to iron out. And there's a lot of people going over to New Japan Pro Wrestling again, and I don't know the situation with Ring of Honor, so I'm not even going to comment on that one. But
it recently came back. It's a taping. So.
okay. So, even though you have interesting and unique situations on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, although I still maintain to this point, when they did the brand split this time, why could they have not just done a similar principle to what they did in 2002, where at the time the WWF Women's Champion and the WWF Undisputed Champion were exclusive to both brands? And I preferred that way of doing it, where, because at the time Triple H was the Undisputed Champion, and then a month later he loses it to Hulk Hogan, which Oni was probably head desking at the time, going, no. But then, late August, early September of that same year, Lesnar gets drafted to SmackDown just to become exclusive property. And it wasn't because of the story that Steph paid Brock a lot of money. No. Triple H was politicking backstage and said, I don't want to play second fiddle to Lesnar. And then years later we find out why. So that's when we had the World Heavyweight title brought in. Now, in terms of the Rumble at the time around 2004, because to be fair, the rules of the Royal Rumble for 2004 had stated that the winner faces the champion, but the rules do not state which champion that winner will face. Those rules were in place in 2003, they just didn't advertise it. So, at this point in time, looking at it objectively, some near 7 years on, is it time for the brand split to go away again, or do we keep it in place for a few more years and then do away with it again as they did in 2011? And Raiden, I put that question to you.
I'm gonna be completely honest. Yes, mainly because it's at the point where you gotta just. I mean, I don't like the situation with the undisputed belt and all that, but I don't know. It's at the point you got to do that with the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship. It's just like do away with it. I mean, I like your idea, that idea of the undisputed title and the Women's Championship being exclusive to both brands. I'd say you do the same thing for the tag belt.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
Have them just be both brands, because Raw and SmackDown have so many tag teams, but you just use it for a single brand. I don't know, man. For me, I just did not like that. I mean, I didn't mind that during 03 to 06, I think, 07, whatever.
Yeah.
But now it's at a point you have too many people holding too many belts, and it's like you have to just differentiate and just have unified belts. I mean, you can have, like I said, for me, my ideal thing is WWE title / world title. Okay, in a sense, you can do that. You still do that with Raw and SmackDown, whatever. But with the women's title, you can have that as with both brands. Same goes for the tag belt. Same goes for hypothetically, they bring back the cruiserweight title. Have that for all brands. But for the IC title and US title, I just say keep them both exclusive to the brands.
Yeah.
Because you have different people fighting for that. That's cool. But I don't know. For me, it's at time to do away the Raw Raw Women's Championship, SmackDown Women's Championship, Raw Tag Team, SmackDown Women's Tag Team. You get the gist.
Yeah.
It's at the
Yeah.
point where you have to unify those type of belts in order for it to be more healthy, because it's at the point where you have for example, the Raw side of women's division is great. SmackDown side, however, has suffered.
Yeah.
So it's at the point
Oh,
where you
absolutely.
have to unify those type of belts in order for more better competition, because you no matter how good was, like, you know, the Ruthless Aggression era, the Raw side suffered because of Hunter's politics.
Yeah.
That reign of terror from 03
Oh,
to
don't.
05 was
Mhm.
unbearable. But when you have the SmackDown side, the WWE title scene was more sports oriented. It was more competitive, especially when you had guys like Lesnar, Angle, Benoit, Guerrero, you know, Mysterio, etc., etc. You had those type of divisions where the competition was just great, you know, and SmackDown was very acclaimed for that. But Raw, it was like same shit, different day. And no matter how many times someone dethrones Hunter, like from Shawn Michaels, Goldberg, you always find a way to get that belt back.
Yeah.
So thank God for 05 for Batista. He was able to wrestle the title away, and then the world title was a little bit more handled.
Yep.
So I close this. I feel like you definitely still need the brand split, because it's at the point where, like I said before, you have too many cooks in the kitchen with loaded talent, and you just keep it, and you're just holding them back with just do nothing championship matches that won't even matter. You know what I mean? It's at the point where you gotta have structure, and I see that happening, hopefully. And you guys already know I am very cold on Hunter in his booking, but I feel like he would have that idea. It's like, enough of the Raw SmackDown title, enough of the Raw Women's title, enough of the Raw SmackDown tag, Raw tag. Just unify everything so the competition will be healthy. So I say yes, keep the brand split in place, and do not get rid of it. Because if you get rid of it, it's gonna cause a lot of chaos. Like when a certain father-in-law has screwed over the company so many times with his scatterbrained mind. So, yeah,
Mhm.
and that's how I feel about this whole situation.
Yeah, old Vinny's slowly becoming one of those people like how Rachel Wise read the inscription of Imhotep as "He who shall not be named."
Also, I need to answer this question for offenders. Anyone tell me what's the point of having Jeff Jarrett in the Well, okay. There was a time that I couldn't. No, don't worry, it's all good. There was a time that he was just like Triple H and TNA when he lobbied himself as the NWO World Heavyweight Champion. But for me, at this point, I think he's helping AEW, especially with live shows, deals, and all of that. And also his character work, especially with Lethal, Satnam, and Sanjay Dutt. I think it's pretty entertaining. I'll admit, when I first saw him on TV making his debut, I can't lie to you, I had PTSD, because especially hearing this theme. The theme's awesome, by the way, but there was a time that I was a little scared. But like I said, I feel like he's doing a really great job that he tried to do in WWE, but fortunately he got released. So he's sprinkling the same magic that he tried to do with WWE with AEW, and I feel like it's going well. I mean, what I've heard, AEW getting their first ever live show set. You know, house shows. So house shows in company terms makes a lot of money, and it keeps people wanting more. So to answer your question, the point of having Jeff Jarrett in AEW is the same thing he tried to do with WWE, except he's doing it much better in AEW. It's that.
More freedom to do as he feels, basically.
Basically, yeah.
All right. Madam Question. Keep in mind, folks, I'm half awake. Madam President, the same original question to you. Given the choice of rival promotions to WWE, does the brand split, is it still needed in this day and age now?
Well, I'm of mixed feelings about that. On one hand, with these people who are holding on to belts forever, Roman, I'm sorry, I have a bit of a sore throat there. I still have issues with the whole him holding onto the belt for almost 1,000 days, which is getting a little frustrating, to be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you.
You too.
But yeah, just on the one hand, I feel like the brand split should exist because again, have cohesive different storylines there. But the problem is, I feel like SmackDown's suffering because of a certain other politicking superstar, Ronda Rousey. Sorry, again, I have that very sore throat. I'm sorry about that.
It happens.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have my issues, several issues with Ronda Rousey, but again, one of the least at the bottom of the list, thinking that she's a better competitor than certain individuals. Like, she like to call out the current women's tag champions, Dakota Kai and Io Sky, where it's like, you know what? You don't have as much talent on your little pinky than you have, and they have in their entire body. So fuck off. All right, shut up. But that out of the way. It's just, I feel like the brand split should exist in a way to have like cohesiveness, so that you can tell that these are two different shows. Because again, you have two different mixes of talent. But again, I do agree that like some of the talent in SmackDown does tend to suffer, especially the poor women's division. I feel bad for the women of SmackDown that like. I'm of mixed feelings about Charlotte being champion again, but at least it's better than Ronda Rousey. I will say that. And the Raw side of things, it has like powerhouse. It has Becky Lynch, it has Bianca Belair, who I lovingly am now calling Wonders Bianca because she's got a little bit of Super Cena tendencies, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Bianca, but just like, yes.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And also like the individuals that are a part of Damage Control, they have Rhea freaking Ripley, who again I feel like they're probably gonna move her to SmackDown, considering the fact that she's going after Charlotte's title. But that's neither here nor there. Whether she wins or lose, I'm okay with that. On the other hand, on the SmackDown side, you have like these other talents. They have like that are severely underused. Like they have Shotzi Blackheart. They have Tegan Knox, Emma, who again everybody forgets that she came back, don't they?
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel bad too. It's just like, hey, it's like I feel like they probably need to do a draft where they need to shake things up a bit, or they're gonna have a serious problem there. But again, I feel like they do need to do away with these unified titles and just like have these people jump from like from the here to there, like certain individuals have been doing lately. Everybody makes the joke of the brand split. What's that? And it's like, again, I feel like I have to agree with that assessment. It's like, I don't want them to fully do away with the brand split, but just like have champions from one go to another just to compete. Like, shake things up a little bit. If you want to keep storylines from there, that's fine too. But just a little bit of like flavor is reduce the spice of life. So give it that at least. I'm just hoping that like Cody takes the belt off Roman, or at least they split them off or do something with them, because I am really, really sick and tired of Roman Reigns as the undisputed Universal Champion. I'm sorry. I thought Sammy should have won at Elimination Chamber, but again, I'm in the majority of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, but again, like Sammy will find a way to make it to WrestleMania, whether he's in the main event or if he's with Kevin Owens to take the belt off the Usos. Please take the belt off the Usos, please. Give some variety. I'm kind of getting sick of the same thing where it's like, interference. Oh no, ref bump. Uh-oh, someone's involved. Blah, blah, blah. 1, 2, 3. Member of the bloodline here wins. I want some variety. That's all I want. I just want something. Come on, give me something I can work with here.
Yeah. I do agree.
But yeah.
Oh, go.
Mm-hmm.
No, finish up.
No,
That's my bad.
Right. All in all, I think there are merits to keeping the brand split, but there are also there merits of like either just merging the brands together. I understand the splitting of like cohesion's sake, but shake things up a little bit, or otherwise, just do away with it.
I do agree with the consensus of they need to consolidate some of the championships. I mean, with the Intercontinental and the United States title, keep them. You need at least 2 mid-tier belts for people to fight for, because a lot of discussion was going around at the time in 2013, 2014. In order to make the competition stiffer, let's unify the United States and the Intercontinental Championship and just have one mid-tier belt. Now, on the one hand, it does make people step their game up, but it also limits the amount of opportunities that some wrestlers could have. I mean, if we go back to this time in 2002, you had the hardcore title. You had the lightweight. Well, you didn't have the lightweight and the lightweight and the cruiserweight belt, because the light heavyweight belt kind of quietly disappeared.
Actually, and I don't. Okay. All right, a little tangent. I don't like when nerds do that. Well, actually, okay, but I'm not trying to pull who, but anyway, okay. To answer your question about the light heavyweight belt, that actually got unified at SummerSlam 2001, where X-Pac beat Tajiri.
Oh.
For the WCW. I think he was the WWF light heavyweight champion, while I think Tajiri was the cruiserweight champion.
Yeah, that is actually true.
So X-Pac beat him, and he unified the belt.
Oh, I didn't realize that was a unification match. Okay, my bad.
It's all good. No. I was good to help out.
Yep. So, at that time, hardcore, cruiserweight, women's, tag titles, European, Intercontinental, and the undisputed WWF Championship. You have your top tier belt, you have your your secondary, and then you have your tertiary championships in the European and the hardcore. I understood, to a point, unifying the European with the Intercontinental Championship, because in one of the plates, Europe is part of the Intercontinental division, so it's like, okay, that makes sense. Then when they unified the hardcore with the IC belt, I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Why? Okay. And this is the biggest mistake they made, is when they unified the IC title with the World Heavyweight belt, because the original...
I was about to mention that, yeah, because we all know Vince was like, never gave a shit about the IC belt over the years, and that didn't came back until like Judgment Day 03.
Yeah.
And they brought it back, and then in order to compete, Stephanie McMahon, who was general manager at the time, brought in the U.S. belt.
Yep.
And they were going with that, and then now that turned out in a good way.
Yep. When you take away certain belts, like I say, it limits the opportunities some wrestlers can have. And I say wrestlers, not superstars. Vinny, they are wrestlers, not sports entertainment. Just saying. I agree that the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles should be unified and just do what they did from WrestleMania 25 in 2009 onwards, where the tag titles become exclusive to both brands, and do the same for the Raw and SmackDown women's titles. Unify them so it's just the women's championship, because I'm gonna be honest, I feel it's a little bit unimaginative, for want of a better description, to say the Raw Women's Champion and the SmackDown Women's Champion and the Raw Tag Team titles and the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, when it was the WWE Tag Team Champions and then the World Tag Team Champions. If one of them got drafted to one show or the other, you wouldn't have to have them to swap the titles, which I looked at that and I'm like, this is lame.
That was so dumb. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I get it.
They did the same. They did the same thing for the women's belt too, and
Yeah.
caused a lot of controversy backstage.
I mean, I get that you cannot have a Raw Women's belt defended on SmackDown because then it looks weird. But at least when there was the Women's and the Divas Championship belts, as much as we curse the Divas Championship belt from here to the point of no existence, at least if the two switch the shows, you wouldn't have the champions having to swap the belts with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing. If they create brand exclusive belts in the future, do not have the brand name in the titles. Just say, for the sake of discussion, first time ever, we have the Women's United States Championship belt. Let's say, for argument's sake. You don't call it the Raw Women's US title. It's just like, no, it's just the Women's US title. Or if we create an exclusive women's belt that's just for SmackDown, Raw has the women's, but then SmackDown has, say, the Ladies Championship, or for just.
I got a better one.
Okay.
The WWE Valkyrie Championship.
Ooh.
Oh!
Okay. Yeah, I can rock that.
Okay, now I'm picturing the Valkyrie Queen from God of War playing the WWE. That scares me.
Or from Thor.
Oh, that too. That too.
So, yeah, just have something different. And this is one of the very few times I will agree with the A-Log. When it comes to Survivor Series situations, can we do away with team names being, say, Team Cena, Team Authority? Come up with something original. Because, around, I think it was Survivor Series 2013, why don't you have Mick Foley's team, which happened to have The Miz in there? It's like, why don't you have their team called the Misfits, and Ziggler's team are referred to as the Show-Offs instead of Team Ziggler and Team Foley? Because the whole point.
You know what?
Nice.
They kind of did that for Survivor Series way back in the day. Like I think it was called HBK's Nights or whatever, and the King's Court, blah blah blah. They had those gimmick names back then, but that was when it was like, I think it was like the new generation era
Oh
back then.
dear.
So, yeah, but as a lot of shit we gave them, at least they were unique names.
Yes.
And all that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I said something to the effect of, for it might be Survivor Series 2016 or 2017, instead of Team Raw for the women's Survivor Series name, what about the Raw Amazons, and something like for SmackDown, I think I may have said something like the SmackDown Soldiers. Something that's because when you say team, insert name here, it feels too corporate. And also, what people, and I'm sorry for doing this once more, Madam President, but when you bring team insert name here, it's almost like, I'm on Team Edward, I'm on Team Jacob. No, we're not!
No, we're not talking about that.
Because,
Again, it's just. I agree with you on that.
I mean,
Also, yeah, off topic. Oh, well, no. Since we're talking about, like, unique stuff, for the love of God, change the fucking designs on the titles. Oh,
Thank you.
Lord. Ever since 2013, when before WrestleMania 29, when Rock and Cena were gonna go at it, he finally did something great and changed the spinner design. Listen, the spinner was good for its time, but that was only for Cena. Tell me why they kept using that design for Triple H, Sheamus, Randy Orton. Wow, it just didn't look right. But like, but he changed the design, and honestly, it didn't look too bad. You know, it just had the WWE title design. It looked okay.
it was an
But
improvement.
Tell me why. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Tell me why I kept seeing that same design since Lesnar destroyed Cena at SummerSlam 2014. We got that design, and we get that for the women's side. Well, okay. Well, first off, SummerSlam 2016 when the brand split happened, where Mick Foley and Stephanie revealed the Universal title. That shit got
Oh.
that shit got booed.
It was
They got
lazy.
Booed in the building.
It was basically a recolor.
And then mid 2020, and we're going to the mid card titles. Okay, there was a time I did not like how the United States belt looked, but I've gotten used to it. It was cool, especially with the when the side plates got transferred, you know, for the wrestlers' logos and all that. I still miss the nameplate design. but
Yeah,
that's
I feel like
you know,
nameplates are better. That's just me, though.
Yeah, but tell me why that beautiful IC title that Cody Rhodes, you know, showed up. I know MJ, you were a fan of the original oval design, but a part of me liked the classic IC belt with the white strap. I don't know why. It just looked cool. It just looked regal. It looked clean to me. I still love that. But tell me why that title belt got changed. Okay, the belt doesn't look too bad, but what it needed was color. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it how it went. At least with that, the IC title, the US title got changed. That's cool. But tell me why I gotta see the same old designs. Like Universal belt got when the Fiend won it, it got turned to what the WWE title was. Except it had a blue design. You just see it way too much. Like
I know.
that's the point. Like people got to think, okay, after WrestleMania, the design's got to be changed. Pronto, also some ugly ass tag titles. I never liked those. Turned to penny belts and then it turned to silver belts. It's at the point where you got to do something with those belts. And I know for a fact if Cody wins it, I know how, you know, he's very old school. He'll do something different with the belt, like he did with
I hope so.
For me, I just want better designs because these designs ain't it. Hell, look at NXT UK. As much as I shit on it, at least the UK belt and the tag belt look amazing. You know.
Yep.
And after NXT last year, they got rid of the belt, especially that beautiful UK design. Like, what are we doing here?
I don't know.
I just want the belts look like belts again, like back in the day. You know.
I mean,
Like the wing, like the beautiful winged eagle belt from the mid '90s, from the giant eagle belt to one of my personal all-time favorite WWE title designs with the undisputed belt.
oh yeah.
I don't know. Like for me, that stays being my favorite world title belt. So,
Yeah.
I just want variety with the belts. I don't want the same old thing.
Oh no, I completely agree, and also, you know, we're jumping back to probably the peak of the original brand split, at least when you would look at Raw and SmackDown, and of course it would vary at times whichever world title, where the world title would be, at least when you looked at the WWE title and then the World Heavyweight Championship, there were contrasting differences. Whereas, as you say, with the WWE title and the Universal title, it's night and day. Or it's basically, alright. Let's say, for the sake of discussion, Madam President and Mr. Rikaku both have Ford Mustangs. Lids has a beautiful 2005 Scarlet Red Ford Mustang, and Oni has a black with silver trim around the sides '05 Mustang. It's just like, what he could have done is just say, Lids has the classic '05, but Oni's got like the classic '67 Cobra in silver, like Eleanor. But it's like, it's just right insane. There's no individuality. It's just copy paste. And it's why when they revealed the women's title design at WrestleMania 32, I looked at them like, what is that? It's just... And of course, when they put like the white stripe on it, it's just like, you look at it and you think, okay, so now we're copying the Intercontinental title. It's like, no. It's like, go back to the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era respectively. Look at those belts. Look at what made them stand out. Look what differentiated themselves from one another. And like Raiden, completely agree, one of the best looking WWE Championship designs they ever had was the Undisputed belt in 2002, because that, to me, that is how you make a modern world title belt. And it annoys me that belt was only in circulation for 3 years before, the spinner belt became the norm. And I thought the spinner belt at the time was just a John Cena thing. Like, whenever Austin was champion during his face run, he'd have the Smoking Skull belt whilst he was champion. And fun fact, Stone Cold never told management he was bringing that belt to TV. So when you saw Vince with the look of shock on his face, he wasn't acting. Just like this one clip that surfaces every now and again. It's like, it's not about what you want, it's what I want. And I put in the comments, folks, he's not lying here. This is him predicting the future. But thankfully, he's not in charge of creative. For now. Yeah, I know. I'm just waiting for that day when you hear, no chance, I'm taking control again. Michael Cole, you'll do what I tell you, and for the first time in near 20 years, we're gonna have a broad patties match. Like, shh, nope.
No, we're not.
It's like me and Raiden have said so many times before. Late 90s, early 2000s versions, I was like, yeah. 2020s versions, like, Vinny, there's this website that you can go to that fulfills your needs. What, bigmuscularman.com?
Okay, to each their own, man, but dude, no.
And we're like, you're an idiot. No. Here's the thing, folks. If that's what you're into, great. But, if you want to see two women go at it in a different way, well, you can Google it and find out for yourself. We're not saying it on here because discretion.
Categories on a certain website, mumble.
Yes. And here's the thing. You could even see wrestlers like Trish, Lita, Molly Holly especially back in the day, because even during the Ruthless Aggression Era, she was really trying to push legitimate cases for women's wrestling. And even when Lita and Trish were in a bra and panties match for the women's title on an episode of Raw, I think September, October of 2000, you get Ivory joining the Right to Censor, and at that point, they weren't really doing anything with Ivory, and I suppose in a weird way that was kind of reflecting some of her personality on screen as well. I don't know. Although I will say, to this day, Ivory, you really needed to trim down your Hall of Fame acceptance speech. I mean, comparing it to a wedding. All right.
Try telling Chris Judge that during the Video Game Awards.
Oh dear.
Steve knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But, you know, there's got to be a give in WWE with regards to the creativity. And this is something that Austin said years ago on his podcast. What WWE really needs to do to move forward is place importance back on those championship belts, because he said it himself. It was either on an episode of Raw or during an interview. If you're not here to be world champion, you've got no business being here. And I absolutely agree with that 110%, which is why I get with the Rock Cena matches at both WrestleMania 28 and 29 respectively. Yeah, there was personal issues to iron out, but the WWE title at WrestleMania 29 was almost playing second fiddle to it, and I'm like, hang on, this is the WWE title, one of the most prestigious.
You mean 28?
Yeah, sorry. Because at 29, it was Rock Cena 2. And because the first match was just about the two going at it, and just, you know, because of real life issues. And then 29 was for the belt. The belt was playing second fiddle. I'm like, hang on a minute. This is one of your most important championships in the company, and you're treating it like an afterthought. So I feel like what they should do is look at WrestleMania 14 and 15 respectively, just for inspiration. Yes, it was about, you know, Austin defying the original authority, which was the corporation at the time. But it was, for Stone Cold, it was always about getting the belt back. The belt that meant, the one thing that meant more to him in life. And notice I say thing, because people are more important than things. But at the time, that belt meant more to him. And of course, as we all know, during Mania 15, he was going through a divorce at the time. So winning the belt back was a very nice and pleasant distraction for him. And he says he doesn't remember that match because he remembers he passed out in the locker room, but it took his mind off of things at the time. And notice McMahon's motivation during that match was to stop Austin from becoming champion again, and in doing so, the belt's status was elevated. The belt, over probably, I want to say, probably not since WrestleMania 18, because Triple H's shtick was getting back to the top of the mountain after tearing his quad the year before, was him getting to the top of the mountain, and it placed importance on the belt. But year after year after year, it's about, oh, let's put this personal issue. It's like, just make the belt the story. That's what they're there for. They're not there for the petty, backstabbing, backstage BS that you try to market to people. Make the belt the focus, the story. Make it what they're longing for. Because what you're doing, I mean, Cody, to his credit, he's actually placing importance onto the undisputed title going into his match with Roman, because this is the one belt that Goldust and Dusty Rhodes never won in WWE. This is the one belt that the Rhodes family would have loved to have gotten. And he's trying, like I say, to place importance onto that belt because Cody is old school in a new school generation, and I absolutely love that. And I have to give him full props, even though he was really, really hurting in his match with Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell, he still went. And I'm like, it's like, bring up Stardust after that match. I dare you.
Mm-hmm.
And when all the promos started surfacing of him training for the Rebels, like, he's winning. When you put that much...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's like when you put that much emphasis and promotion on somebody when they're coming back, it's like, yeah, he's winning.
Yeah, usually when you declare yourself for the Royal Rumble, it's either A, you're winning, or you're completely not winning the Rumble. And since they were putting so much emphasis on those in those promos, it's like, okay, yeah, he's a sure win. What number he was gonna coming in as was a good question.
The only time...
It was either gonna be in the middle or it was gonna be number 30, and he came out at number 30 like he should have.
The only times I've noticed where they've not hyped up a wrestler and they come in and win, Taker in 2007, because he came in at number 30 and nobody really saw... No, well, obviously, yes, they did see him winning because he did win the damn thing, but they didn't see the same sort of emphasis placed on him from the likes of Sheamus winning in 2012, or whenever Stone Cold won his respective Rumbles from 98, 99 to 2001. Edge in 2010, nobody heard of him returning that night. So for that one, that's a curveball because again, nobody saw him. No one predicted him winning and returning and winning that night. So with Cody coming in when he did, it's like yeah, this makes total sense. And quite honest with you, I'm surprised it didn't happen years before. But timing is everything.
Mm-hmm.
So. And of course, with regards to the match at Mania, it depends on how the story is built over the next, I think it's the next 6 weeks before WrestleMania 39. So, I don't know. I don't know how they'll go about doing this one because they've got to build this in a particularly special way because from the word on the wire that's going around is that Roman might, and I stress might, be going part-time after this because he got his moment. And I think it's kind of good that you get someone like Cody to take the belt off of him because this is kind of reminds me of the situation between CM Punk and The Rock. If it had been, say, someone like Dolph Ziggler to dethrone CM Punk, how much it would have elevated Ziggler's stock, but it also would have done the world of good for Punk. But as much as I am a Rock fan, all these years later, Rock was the wrong person to take the belt off of Punk after all that time. Because that match, Rock was gassed as hell.
Oh, yeah.
And, full kudos to Punk, say what you will about him these days, but he carried Rock. And he, I remember him talking about in his Art of Wrestling interview with Colt Cabana, he said, why don't we do a thing where I keep the title, then it becomes a triple threat between me, Rock, and Cena, or let me keep the title, I'll wrestle Taker. We counted like it would have been day 500. Imagine how that would have been for Taker if he had beaten Punk and Punk was champion. That would have been, at that point, that would have been Taker's first world title in 3 years. And his first WWE title in over a decade. But Vinny's like, no, we want Rock versus Cena too. No.
For this.
The first time, okay. we were genuinely curious, and it's like, oh, this match stole the night. It did. I would have said the two matches that were better by comparison. I have my issues with Taker Triple H 3 from Hell in a Cell, but story-wise, it was better than Rock versus Cena. Match-wise, yeah, I don't know. The match to me that stole the show that night was CM Punk versus Chris Jericho for the WWE title, because it was an actual wrestling match, and that's what
it was actually built well.
Exactly. And of all things, CM Punk inadvertently invented the meme of Jericho invents everything. That's like,
honestly, that was like the sequel to Jericho's 100 something moves in WWE. So
oh yeah. I like the one meme. I invented everything. I invented Canadians, Justin Bieber. Even me? I was drunk. Here's the thing with Bieber. I think as he's gotten older, I think he has mellowed out a little bit. I mean, I enjoyed Peaches as one of his more modern tracks. I'm not a fan of his earlier work because it's not for me. But Peaches, I'm like, okay, I can vibe to this. This is cool. But yeah, as you say, Punk Jericho, that was built so well for Mania 28, and of course, Johnny Ace says, "Oh, if you get disqualified, Jericho instantly becomes champion." It's just like, appreciate its story, but I appreciate its story, but Johnny Ace, your hate boner is showing. Please stop that. And even though it's been like 11 years on, I'm so glad they did away with his character, because I'm sorry, but how did they think that was creative TV? Week after week, it's like, my name is John Laurinaitis, the Executive Vice President of Talent for WWE. It's like, we don't care.
Yeah, and the inside, he was not, and also in backstage, he was not well liked. So. Also, if you're thinking about Laurinaitis, first things first, rest in peace, Jay Briscoe. But I remember there a promo that the Briscoes did called Cosmetically Pleasing. They had a trial match. Thought everything was going good. Thought it was like their life. But John Laurinaitis stopped that because they weren't cosmetically pleasing. And you see these two, the way they look, both from Sandy Fork, Delaware, but god damn, can they wrestle their asses off? So
yeah.
That also, we all know, like, Vince and Laurinaitis were tight, but
yes.
Laurinaitis, we all know what happened to him, so screw him. But yeah, so there's that. Heck, even Jim Ross called them out on the BS too. Because remember, before Johnny Ace, it was JR that was part of Talent Relations, and if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't got Stone Cold.
Nope.
Yeah.
And of course, we all know about the famous Cornette, him going off on Laurinaitis, but again, who does Cornette not gone off on?
Yeah.
And that was where the legendary thing of "thank you, fuck you, bye, boom" came from. I will say though, I appreciate it's just his opinion, but Cornette, what you said about Becky Lynch when she had maternity leave, my dude, not cool.
Nah,
I don't know. We're going to move on to another topic now, because I think we've universally said what we needed to now about the brand split and the varying other degrees of whether it should remain now. Let's see. Gonna move on to something else. A minute. Hang on. Here's gonna be for another open discussion, and that is simply. Hang on, find the right. Where was I looking for it? Open discussion. What would you like to see Marvel do and not do within the MCU now. I say this because, and this is something that John Campea brought up on his show, that there was once upon a time where you'd probably get 1 or 2 Marvel movies per year. Then it became 3. Then it's gone to a point where there's 4, and now you've also got the live stream, not the live stream, the streaming shows with things like, you know, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and you've also got WandaVision, then you got She-Hulk, then you got What If. I'll say my piece briefly, because I'm known for going on tangents, so I'll try and keep mine as brief as possible. I think I would rather see some of Marvel's best writers focus purely on, say, producing maybe 2 movies per year, because then you're not oversaturating the market with too many movies. So let's say for next year, we get World War Hulk, and then we get a proper She-Hulk movie. For the sake of discussion, you know, tone down the fourth wall aspects, tone down some of the more political sides, because I know, based upon Madam President's account of what she's seen, that they injected too many political issues within that when they could have streamlined it and made it just a little bit more entertaining. Do that, and then maybe just focus on, say, just 2 shows on Disney Plus. Just really, all right. Let's say, for the sake of discussion, Oni starts his own wrestling federation. Go with me on this a second.
Oh, God help us.
We'll call it Oni's Extreme Wrestling. So, OEW. He has Raiden focusing on Friday night's Raiden experience. Take that however you want to. And he's got, say, 2 writers that just focuses on the world title and the tag team title situation, and you have Madam President on Monday Night Oni, just focusing. Yeah, he's gonna love that. And she's focusing on the women's division, and we'll call it the American Middleweight Championship situation. And you're putting, you know, your best creative energy into that. All of a sudden, he comes along and says, right, I need you to put in these 2 new title situations, the crazy Vince Russo championship division, and Kitsune on Raw, you're going to focus on the Ronda Rousey appreciation night. It will tear out, because, like, nope.
Not happening.
You put too many eggs in one basket, it's going to oversaturate, and you have, you know, too many writers trying to do too many things. This is what made the Dark Knight trilogy work so well, is when you only have maybe no more than 1 to 2 writers just writing things out. That way you can have something that's streamlined, it's cohesive, it's concrete, and there's not too many cooks piling too many things in. I mean, what was it? Scary Movie, I think the original one had 7 writers.
Shit, okay.
I think they had, don't quote me on that, and that's too much. If you had 7 writers over the course of 10 movies, that's different, because, you know, every once in a while somebody will come along with their own spin and try to put something in that will inject new life into it. But when you have so many people trying to bring too many ideas to the table, it becomes too much. So let's say Raiden wanted to do a 2020s take on Fist of the North Star, like really do like the animation style that Project IG are known for, things like Ghost in the Shell and Blood the Last Vampire. And he has this really cool, slick, modern, streamlined vision of how he wants it to look. And then Freeberg and Seltzer decide they want to come, and he's like, bruh, not gonna happen. And he doesn't even get mad, he just gives him this evil stare of death from Vegeta. It's like, do what now? Like, it's like, dare to test my patience? No. There's the door. Oh, Mr. Nolan, you would like to do a Fist of the North Star movie. What do you have? Well, I have this cohesive idea of taking an origin story and slowly building the character from the ground up, but only having enough references to true hardcore fans will already know the source material there and there out, but provide more than enough information for new time fans to come in. Sir, you're hired. That's the feeling I get with the MCU. Yes, over time, you're expected to produce more because the universe has grown. The universe has grown so much since the first Iron Man movie and the Incredible Hulk movie. Because what people need to remember, from 2008 to 2010, that's all we got. Because 2010, we got Iron Man 2. And I think for 2010, that was it. Because Thor didn't follow until a year later, along with Captain America, the First Avenger. Now, a lot of people say that's, Captain America's a very average movie. I agree to disagree. I think, compared to the other movies that have gone since then, there are other movies that are better critically, but First Avenger, for what it is, it tells a very solid origin story about Captain America, and is one of Marvel's very few period piece movies. And I like the fact that they set it in World War II and it has this very distinctive look with regards to the movie filter. It's got that very, almost sepia tone from the 40s. The problem that we have now is, when you have Wakanda Forever, which I heard was not as well received as they would have liked it to have been received, along with Quantumania, I've heard where people are like kind of mixed with it.
Yeah, a little bit. I will admit to that.
Yeah.
There's-
It's more or less foreshadowing for phase 5.
Foreshadowing the movie.
So, like I say, what I would like to see done as like a 3 to 4 year plan going forward with Marvel is tone down the amount of movies you've got coming out and actually just say, right, for this next phase, have, say, 3 key writers for your next 5 to 6 movies, and just try to bring it down to, say, 2 to 3 movies per year, because it's getting a little too much. Because I think what they should do, they should have like this, in a similar way, DK of America were given what was called the Sonic Bible at the times. Like, this is the premise, these are the character names, these are their personalities and traits. You have the freedom to have them say what you want, as long as they stick to these character aspects and aesthetics. Don't deviate from it and try to put your personal spin on it, because people, we know when you're trying to inject your personal opinions into the characters, because it shows up on screen. That's what I would like to see happen, and actually say, I don't know, let's just say, for the sake of discussion, we finally get Iron Man 4. Let's just say, for argument's sake, bring Jon Favreau in and have him write it. Because whilst I think it's good to have different writers come in, it also helps if you have someone that's a fan of the character and they have a specific vision of how that character should be portrayed and represented. I mean, it'd be like if, say, you have David Koepp writing the Blade movie. Now, David Koepp is a very good screenwriter, considering he did Jurassic Park, The Lost World, and the first Spider-Man movie. But imagine if he knows nothing about Blade, and then Raiden comes along and says, "Hold my beer, I got this." And he puts down this 300-page script saying, "This is Blade." And then you have, like, Marvel read, like, "Well, gosh dang." And it's like, yep. And what I'd like to see Marvel do, kind of do for Blade what Matt Reeves did with the Batman. Try to find as much creative freedom in stretching the PG-13 limitations as you can without stepping out of the boundaries, but making Blade have that sense of, I don't want to say adult freedom, but have it come off as less kiddified and more of that psychological horror thriller. Because the Batman, that movie went to places. And if you have that with Blade in the context of what Matt Reeves did for the Batman, I think you'd have something really special for Marvel. So, yeah, essentially, that's what I want Marvel to do for this point going forward. Less quantity, more quality. And Sir Stephen, since you've seen some of the more recent Marvel movies, the same question to you. What do you want to see them do, and what would you rather see them not do?
Hey.
Oh dear.
Well, I just don't really know with Marvel anymore. I mean, I went to see Ant-Man Quantumania, and immediately it was just clear that the story didn't necessarily feel as though it was giving Ant-Man and the rest of his entourage a chance for them to flourish as much as was the overbearing Phase 5 elephant in the room.
Yes.
And considering where it's going, it feels as though that movie was just like just a reason to get Phase 5 kickstarted after Phase 4 was pretty much a flop at the box office. The only exception to that being Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh,
but
yeah.
That's because people love Spider-Man.
Oh, Sean's brilliant. Could they have the main villain defeated by being yelled at by J. Jonah Jameson? I'll do that. I love that.
I'll allow it.
I mean, the rest of Phase 4 was just all over the place with characters we didn't even know about until this point, or just sequels which were subpar in comparison to the originals. And two of the main offenders for this are Thor: Love and Thunder
Oh no.
and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh no.
Yeah, I will admit that.
For the sake that they brought in legacy characters and just this whole idea of there being a large universe, only to have them killed off. And with Thor: Love and Thunder, they tried to inject too much humor in what should have been a serious story. I mean, when I think of mythology, I think of grand battles, something on a large scale. But no, all we get is just jokes about Zeus wanting to have certain adult-related things.
What?
Oh boy.
Hey, you honestly, MJ, you don't want to know.
Noted.
And a villain who was just so underwhelming compared to the massive impact he had in recent Marvel Comics history, especially for Thor. But saying that to modern Marvel Comics, that's not saying much.
No comment.
But yeah, if Marvel wants to continue with the cinematic universe, just try and keep things focused. Ryan try and usher out a little less of the humor that they try to force feed into these movies. But at the same time, don't try to be all serious. It's like trying to find a delicate balance.
So, if I'm right in thinking this, try to do what they did with Batman Begins, where there's just a little bit of levity here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And also, and one gripe that I really need to address:
Mm-hmm.
don't treat your legacy characters as if they were cannon fodder.
Oh boy.
Please don't.
Yeah.
No, I would agree with. Oh, sure.
And the villain motivations. And again, I go back to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Did Wanda deserve that little redemption thing? No. I'm sorry, I did not feel any amount of sympathy for her whatsoever in that final moment.
Shit.
What you mean, bro? Also, did
I'm
freaking
gonna, like,
Xavier had to die?
No, I agree with you on that, but will get some merits to that redemption arc if it had been done right, but I will get that when it's my turn.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know anymore.
All right.
I think I've said my piece there.
Madam President, you're up.
Okay, so I do admit that there is some inconsistencies to the MCU as of late, ever since the end of, well, no pun intended, Endgame, where it's like, I feel like that should have been the end.
Yeah.
Where, again, Disney has got to get their money, and they got to pay for that streaming service.
Oh, we've got loads of money now. Oh, more movies about me. You haven't had a movie in years.
But I do admit there are some, like, again, some cohesion problems. I will admit that. Especially with them trying to tell stories within these TV shows, and with them having to try to do it on the same budget as you have the movies. You have one problem, though. You're stressing out your special effects team. You want to know why freaking Quantumania, Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder look the way they do? It's because the special effects crew have been working themselves to the damn bone.
Yeah.
Some of them have actually quit the business.
Yeah, and that makes me feel bad. And it's like, again, your special effects crew is... These people are working hard to make your film look as realistic as possible, considering the fact you're doing movies about superheroes who fly around or have superpowers. Yeah, you're working these people to the bone. There are some series where it's like it's like a character piece to a degree. Hawkeye, for instance, I will admit that is a good character piece because we got to see a little bit of what Barton had to offer, because he was kind of given the royal shaft in the movies, and aside from Age of Ultron, where he was suddenly given this family, where it's like, okay, that came out of nowhere. All right, okay, but again, I want them to have a little bit more cohesion here. You're telling these character pieces, but at the same time, you want to tell these exciting stories, and as I've been saying, cohesion is a good thing. Just gotta have your story have consistency, otherwise it's just a jumbled mess. And the only thing I will say about Multiverse of Madness, it's like, it was a good idea on paper. It was executed slightly poorly, especially what they did with Wanda, because WandaVision was a beautiful piece of a person going through the grief she went through. Oh, but suddenly she gets a magic evil book and all of a sudden she turns heel. I'm like, no. And then she starts murdering people. I'm like, I know grief will make you do crazy things, but it won't turn you into a psychotic maniac. No matter what influence you have on some kind of dark book. I get it. We had Sam Raimi. We want to use the Sam Raimi-ness. It's like, I get it. I like Sam Raimi. I love Sam Raimi. But you don't need to do that to a character who suffered enough. And guess what, people? She's probably not fucking dead because they need her for that Agatha Harkness show that's coming out, which apparently, again, I'm gonna say this clearly. Who asked for that? Nobody
me.
asked for that.
Not me.
Nobody asked for that. Okay, and two, they need her because again, Elizabeth Olsen signed a contract. So guess what, people? As much as you're saying that like she's like you're not gonna feel any sympathy for her, well, guess what? She's gonna come back either way. So it's like none of that mattered. Just basically character assassinating her did not matter because guess what? She's gonna come back.
God,
That's what
freaking
bothers
damn
me.
it.
Yeah, that's what bothers me. Don't get me wrong. I love Elizabeth Olsen and I love her portrayal as Wanda, but therein lies the problem. You fucked her over in this movie. And my piece saying about Love and Thunder, you make cancer a joke.
No.
It's funny. I get it. Jane's trying to find the freaking optimism, the fact that she's slowly, possibly dying. Don't make jokes about it.
Nope.
It's like, cancer is not a joke. I mean, if you're gonna try to find like levity in the fact that you're trying to find, keep your chin up because you know either A, you're gonna beat this or you're going to die. And again, ending with her death being a joke, it's like, really? That's what we're doing? And look, again, I like Taika Waititi. I have no problems with him, and he did great in Ragnarok, but he should have at least, like, done something a little bit more cohesive instead of throwing jokes where we needed him. You need to find balance, otherwise, again, you're either going to get a farce or you're going to get something with, again, like I said, buzzword here, no cohesion.
Oddly,
It needs to work.
Oddly enough,
Otherwise, you're just going to... Sorry.
oddly enough, Chris Hemsworth said the same thing why he's not working with him for a while.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just, I don't know. And also, I feel like Phase 4 was just building up all these other heroes at this point. We're building a lot of female heroes. Like, for example, we're adding Kate Bishop. We're building up Kamala Khan. We're doing something with Captain Marvel, even though I think at this point, just bring Rogue in, suck up Carol Danvers, and we never have to deal with Brie Larson ever again.
Yeah.
Yes, am I angry about that? Sorry, I don't like Brie Larson. Not because of her politics, because...
That's a different that's a different issue.
She has about as much personality as Ronda Rousey, and that's about none. Sorry. So, in other words, well, get your act together. Otherwise, people are just going to walk away from this, and then you're going to be stuck with a streaming service with shows and programs nobody's going to want to watch, except for maybe What If, because I actually like that. Aside from that, have some, develop some cohesion. Get your shit together, otherwise people are just going to walk away.
And it comes as no surprise if the rumors are true, because we don't have confirmation. It's probably why Marvel are trying to talk RDJ into coming back as a variant of Iron Man for the next phase, because there's rumor that he's going to be involved with Armor Wars somehow. But
Damn it.
Oh man.
well, this is the problem when you have a universe-shattering event like Endgame, where Iron Man is gone and Captain America retires. You've got two of your big hitters now out of the game, no pun intended. The only character that's holding the MCU up is Spider-Man. Now, thankfully, he's around for another trilogy. But there's going to come a time where even Tom Holland can't look like a teenager or a man in his early 20s for too long. I mean, the fact that Tobey Maguire, who was in his early to mid 30s at the time he did Spider-Man 3, he looked good for his age. Now, not so much. You can't pull off teenage Peter anymore, nor would we expect him to. If it was a voiceover, if you do some manipulation in post-production, you can make someone sound younger. They probably could have tried to do that with Jeff Bridges for the 1989 scenes where that was really bad CG to make him look like younger Kevin Flynn, whereas now it's like, just deep fake it. But if they do bring back Tony Stark, they've got to do it in such a way where they don't cheapen his death at the end of Endgame. So let's say they have an Iron Man from Reality 592, for the sake of discussion, where there's enough of Tony's personality traits from that one that's similar to the one they lost, but he's different enough to where he stands out on his own. And that would be a challenge for RDJ, to be similar but different. And Sean's just made a good point. Having RDJ isn't going to help you. Try have better writing instead. Yes.
Good luck with that.
Yes. I mean, I personally think, this is just my 2 cents, why not do what they did in the comics and have Nick Fury gradually retired as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and have Tony Stark succeeded, because they did that in the comics. I would rather see Tony become like... I think most people can relate to this, whether it's basketball or soccer or even football. You have a player-coach situation, someone who watches from the sidelines and gives directions, but when they see a situation that only they can see how they can fix it, that's when they put the jersey on and say, put me in. That's what I think they probably should have done for Iron Man. Just have him as like a player coach, reserve player situation. Have him brought out when you need, like, auxiliary plan, or it's like guys, what happened? What's the play? Code Iron Man. Oh shit, we're in that much trouble. So yeah, if they bring RDJ in, that's what I think they need to do. Have him like take the Nick Fury mold, but make it his own.
Just had a thought as well.
Sure.
Sorry for butting in.
No,
but
go on.
Therein lies a problem with adapting a whole comic book universe into film. As time goes on, actors are going to get older, and eventually, I know we hate to say this, but some of them will eventually pass on. I mean,
Yeah.
they've had to recast Harrison Ford in the part of Thunderbolt Ross for an upcoming Thunderbolts movie.
Yeah.
And they can't go on doing that forever.
No. I still maintain they should have brought Sam Elliott back in, but what do I know? Because I personally liked him as Thunderbolt. I thought he was good. Because William Hurt, I liked him as an actor. I think he was good. He was not General Ross to me. I look at Sam Elliott, that's General Ross. He had the look, but he also brought a lot of compassion to the role, which I thought was very different and unique. Whereas with Hurt, and I'm saying this constructively, I just felt like he was going through the motions. But that's just me. Raiden, we haven't gotten to you. What would you like to see the MCU do, and what would you like to see them walk as far away from as possible? Uh-oh.
Where do I begin?
Grab the popcorn, folks. This is going to be good.
Alright, look. When the MCU started, it was gradually good. The way they built things up was cool. But I feel like now they got way too big for their britches. Is that Oni?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I just feel like now they got way too big for their britches.
Yeah.
And notice I said britches, not the, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, look. For me, what I wish to not see ever again is like the same old formula, like Steven said. He said, you have the origin story, which is done well, but you have the characters. Like, oh, I forgot to tell you, like, I do this. I'm talking about Shang-Chi here because I feel like that's the same old formula. Character goes back to homeland, character feels bad, he has to make amends, da 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 da, big fight scene, da da da, post credit. Yeah, that's what I see with every single Marvel. Like, I agree with your brother. It's the same old formula. I just want to see cohesiveness back. I want to see the storytelling so we can go to another movie. They've done that, but I feel like they've dropped the ball with it. Like, for example, look at the Netflix show. They were able to do things that the Marvel movies couldn't do. Have a lot more mature themes. Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Lee but they still stayed with the formula. Over the time, they got bad writing, and sadly, a lot of them got canceled. But luckily, you have a guy like Charlie Cox, aka Daredevil, who's back. We will get another Daredevil show. This time will be different. For me, I just want to see the same old like creativity and energy that you give to these characters, to these roles, to these shows, not just same old. Like, I see it way too much. Like, that's why a lot of times I'm not interested because I know what I'm gonna get. Now, I've heard some good things about Moon Knight. I'll check out a little bit of that, but I feel like it's just at the point where, what are you doing that's different? Because I've seen it way too many times with Superman. It's like, you gotta have cohesive. You gotta have a structure. And that's what I'm seeing with James Gunn and his team with the upcoming DC movie. I want to see the same energy on Marvel. Because before all that, before Disney purchased them, I feel like we were in a good place. You had good shows like Earth Mightiest Heroes, Spectacular Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? You're gonna keep putting the same media into the same movie universe or made movie style. It's like, what are you doing that's different? You're just making these two kiddified
Oh,
to
don't.
appease an audience. I've seen way too much of like merchandising of like hit stuff. Like, for what I liked with Wakanda Forever, they did more storytelling, and that was because you had the hands of a good director, Ryan Coogler. That's what I want to see more in these Marvel movies. I want to see a good story. I want to see how it gets played out. I want to see the main character struggle, and then he or she can solve it. And it's like what Steven List said with these type of movies like Multiverse of Madness. Like, what the hell were you thinking with Wanda? Yeah, she's gone through some grief, but killing everyone is not gonna help you solve anything. Even though some of them kind of had it coming. Seriously, the Illuminati was like, "Oh, you destroyed the universe. Oh, you did this. Oh, you did that." Yeah, okay, die, whatever.
Yeah,
They
passive
didn't
passive
deserve it,
aggressive is
like,
never a
whatever.
good look.
Yeah, but from what I've heard, I'm hearing that there might be some plans. Like, for example, Deadpool 3 that's going to come out like 2025 or whatever, or 2024. I'm happy to see that Hugh Jackman is going to come back as Wolverine. For me, my main thing that I've wanted to see for years is the X-Men done right. Because aside from First Class, and Days of Future Past, and to an extent X1, first X-Men movie and X-Men 2, the rest was shit.
Yeah.
The problem is, with Marvel, you try to spin off so many times, and they fail miserably, like New Mutants. For what it's worth, I thought the movie was okay. I wish they got the same actresses for the next X-Men series, but it's just, like I said, spin-off. Too many spin-offs. Too many shows. You're overcompensating. They're gonna end up like the 90s. And
Yeah.
if anyone knows, it was one of the worst years they've went through. They had to sell the rights to different studios, even though some of them were great. High Blade 2, Lucky Blade Trinity.
I've heard mixed things about Blade Trinity.
Yeah, behind the scenes was good. Anyway, what I want to see with Marvel, like I said, I just want more structure. I want more cohesive. I want more like big shows that build up to movies. I want movies to build up to more movies as well. With different ideas, not the same old bullshit where you gotta go with too much quantity. It's the reason why people are just turning away from Marvel movies, and the whole Marvel in general. Not even that, comics. I've heard some messed up things going on, especially with Spider-Man. That's
Yeah, Dan.
I know Steve.
Dan showed me why they're trying to keep Parker away from Mary Jane. He's like, oh, I love her more like a sister. What the fuck y'all doing?
See what you
Ew.
see what you started, Quasada?
Oh shit.
That
Yeah.
is not flying well with me.
Okay, internet, word to the wise, don't piss Sir Stephen off. Just saying.
Don't.
Heck,
Anyway, a lot of the times when I'm creating my points, I repeat myself, and I hate doing that. But as I've said, what I want from Marvel is to focus on actual storylines that can build certain characters that we love, so we can see in the movies. They did that before, but now they're getting too big for their britches. They have to have cohesiveness. That's the main thing we want to see for our favorite heroes. What I'm seeing is just so much backwash, like I see with WWE for so many years.
oh, don't get me started on that again.
I want to see my favorite characters do great things, not for them to just like look bad. So, in my final conclusion, I just want Marvel to just start from scratch and build these characters that we would like to see, that we would love to see in the comics, and take away that same formula we've seen with Marvel movies that we see now. That's all I want. It's at the point where you got to take a break.
Yeah. Well,
What are we doing?
yeah.
What are we actually doing?
I mean, this is why I walked away on a part-time basis after Endgame, is because where do you go from there? I mean, I only stuck around for Spidey because, despite some of my misgivings with MCU Spider-Man, I liked what they did with No Way Home. Far From Home is okay. It's not perfect, but it's okay. And it's like Kaiju said, had it not been for the nostalgia factor of bringing in the heels and bringing in the previous Spider-Man, No Way Home probably wouldn't have been as big as it was. And I'll agree to that, but Andrew Garfield really needed his redemption arc. Like, he needed it so
yeah,
bad.
absolutely.
He did that.
I mean, when I hear the stuff that they were doing with the fourth Thor movie, but where it was more jokey and more comedic as ever, and I'm like, why can't you do what they did with the straight-to-DVD animated movie Hulk versus Thor, where there's this importance of Asgardian heritage and nobility. You actually have Thor speaking as a noble warrior, and I get that it was a great thing to have Thor portrayed in a very sympathetic light with Infinity War and Endgame, because this is a man who lost everything. I mean everything. And to see him spiral into, well, would I be right in saying that in the first portion of Endgame he became depressed?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, he spiraled into a state of depression, and he was looking for something to give him meaning, to give him something to focus on, which is why I understand why he wanted to wear Iron Man's Infinity Gauntlet. It's like, let me be the one to do it. I lost everything. I want to do something that has meaning. I want to be able to bring back everything we lost. Because for him, that was redemption. Now, as to whether he would have survived the effects of that Infinity Gauntlet, it's hard to say. Although the way they explained it, where the Infinity Stones is mostly gamma energy and that Bruce was able to withstand it, I thought, okay, from a writing and logical perspective, that makes sense. Because it...
And
Go on.
sorry.
No, go on.
Apparently, that's what some fans are theorizing, how Jane Foster ended up getting cancer
Huh.
Yeah.
because of what happened in Thor: The Dark World.
And Sean's just said, and Sean's just said, well, look at Hulk's arm. I said he was able to survive it. I didn't say he wouldn't come out of it unscathed, dude. Because even he said that the energy is mostly gamma, and there are some parts of it that are uncharted and, unlabelable, if that's even a word. But they need to give audiences a reason to return to this franchise, and it's, as you will have said, get the writing in a place whereby it makes sense, it's cohesive, and you actually don't treat your characters, current characters, like an afterthought. Especially don't treat the legacy characters like an afterthought. I mean, you don't do that to Patrick Stewart's, Charles Xavier. I was like, what is wrong with you people? I mean, it was different to see Stewart's Charles Xavier in a very humbled and sympathetic light in Logan, because this is a mutant who is suffering from a degenerative disease, and you're looking at a man that he's almost looking to redeem himself from something that he did involuntarily, because Charles Xavier, throughout the course of history, yeah, he's made some bad calls on occasion, but he always tries to put things back afterwards. And, particularly throughout X1, X2, The Last Stand, I'm on the fence with both Xavier and Logan with what he was doing with Jean Grey. I get Logan's point of view, but I also get Xavier's point of view. It's like, you don't know what I'm trying to contain within her. It's like, you let this thing out of her. This is a force of nature. I understand your point of view, but you haven't seen what I've seen. And I don't know. I think, and this is why, even though I don't agree with rebooting the DC cinematic universe is the right thing to do, I simply say, struggling for names. The director of the first two X-Men movies, and he also did Bryan Singer, because folks were looking to reboot the X-Men franchise completely after X-Men First Class, Singer comes along and says, no, wait. Give me one movie, I can fix everything. And I mean everything. And he did. He brought the two generations together that was linked by Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and they did away with what happened with X-Men Origins Wolverine. Ugh. I'm sorry, throw that movie into the trash. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
I mean, Hugh Jackman was great in that. I'll give the man that. And Ryan Reynolds, for what little amount of part he had as Deadpool, I like those aspects that he gave. But the rest of the movie, throw it in the same dumpster fire that Thunderbirds 2004 is in. Sorry, not sorry. And then, of course, you know, erasing what happened with X3. You could tell from a writing point this was no longer Singer's work, because I like Brett Ratner for what he did with the first two Rush Hour movies, but he was not the guy for The Last Stand. It should have been someone else. And the fact that they, like I say, linked the two different generations but did it right, that's how you fix it. That's all DC had to do, was do, say, maybe one or two movies that would have fixed it. And Random and I don't agree with everything, but I agree with what Marvel did. Instead of rebooting it, just fix it with the writing over the next couple of movies. You know, don't... Alright, if you have, say, 3 to 4, 5 or 6 movies down the line and it's not working and it's tanking at the box office, okay. And if there's like too much continuity bogged down, yeah, that's when you hit the reset button. But there was potential with what they were doing with things like Aquaman. And we so badly wanted a Man of Steel 2 for Henry Cavill, because he deserved it after everything he's been through. And at the end of Black Adam, there was that glimmer of hope. It's like, yes, nope, reset. Ugh. So now is DC's and Warner Brothers' time to look at what's happening with Marvel. It's like, this is your door of opportunity now. Make this count. Make it count. And also, with Warner Brothers, more entertainment, less to no politics whatsoever. If you're going to have politics, make it a thought in the background, something that works within the context of the show. Don't shove it in your face, because this is why She-Hulk didn't work. And the fact that we are getting a Batman movie, but it's the Bruce Wayne and Damian Wayne situation, which is like, okay, this could be interesting. I don't know. There's a whole slew of things that DC have got to do. Because like I say, this is their chance. This is their chance to take it away from Marvel. All I'm going to say to James Gunn and DC Studios is, don't screw this up. Please do not screw this up. Marvel have had a dominating, tight-fisted grip on the superhero movie genre since the 2010s. This is your chance to take it away. I'm good. This was definitely a lot more, I don't want to say a volatile episode of SKL, but I feel like a lot of creative and constructive points were put over. And it felt like for the 200th episode, we had to do something a little bit different, rather than read through this article this, read through this article that. Sometimes I feel like there's a lot more, I suppose, creativity and cohesion when there's an open discussion and we just say however we feel about it. Is this something that you guys would like to see going forward?
maybe once in a while.
Okay.
Hmm.
Because I'm looking at the viewing figures, alright, it's only 5 viewers, but that's a little more than what we normally get. So the audience clearly like it. To Dan and Sean, is open discussions something you would like to see more of in the future? Because I feel like we've all gotten, a lot out of our system just for saying what we need to with certain things, like with the brand split, what they're doing with the WWE belts, and what they should be doing with Marvel and what have you. Because, again, No Way Home was the only MCU movie I saw after Endgame and Far From Home. Because the other movies, they've not interested me. I don't
I mean,
I don't dislike Thor. It's just, put it to you this way: if you were to give me and Raiden a choice, Thor or a Blade movie, we'd go like Blade.
and quite frankly, if I'm being honest, there was much better representation of Norse mythology in the recent God of War games. I know I kept saying about my love of the Norse duology of God of War, but they did their research.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Oh, Sean's not. Sean and Dan have not responded to the question, so we'll leave that. Oh, Sean's just said,
Sean-
yeah, says he's okay with it. Alrighty.
neat.
I think if only had been present this evening, should WWE do away with the brand split? I've got a few opinions about this. And there's poor Liz like, oh boy.
I wonder what.
No,
his views on-
fortunately,
Oh, sorry.
no, sorry. Fortunately, he's here, but he's a little worn out from work, so he's
Ah.
himself to our bedroom for the time being.
You imagine like, oh, apparently Vince Russo is back in creative.
What?
I sense a disturbance in the stupid. What abomination of man is this? Like, Kitsune? Yes. What stupid thing is going on? MJ's just read a report saying that Vince Russo is back in creative. Madam President, I would like the floor for a moment. And there's this Lid's like, I'm gonna go hide away behind the sofa. You're creeping me out.
Yeah, I'm hiding in the laundry room. Good day.
So I wonder what his current views on the MCU are.
He's again. I feel like he's me. He's more fine with it most of the time, but it's like again, I don't want to put opinions into his mouth. So.
No. He does that.
Fair enough.
He does that well enough on his own. I have an opinion about everything. There's Red like, oh boy, here we go. All right, that'll do it for episode 200. As ever, we're back again next week at the same start time of 6 p.m. UK, 1 p.m. Eastern, and 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and for Sonic Tuesdays and Jurassic Wednesdays, respectively, 10:30 p.m. UK, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, and 2:30 Pacific Standard Time. One question going forward, and I'm basing this on the ridiculousness of last year's heat wave. Oh, sweet lord, that was too much. What would you guys say to ending the season on either April 30 or May 7?
May 7?
Alright. Only because, alright, we cast our minds back to end of April, early May last year. It was warm, but it wasn't, I need to go wear a refrigeration suit type of thing. Because once it got to the end of June, Steve, like I said so many times before, you can vouch for this, end of June was just like, I'm out.
We had more people coming down into our underground cinemas, cafe, and bar just to get out of the heat.
it's like I say, last year that was too much. I mean, when it gets to the point where I'm leaving the windows and my bedroom door open and lying as, and laying down as slow and, and laying as still as possible, just to be like, okay, little to no movements, just relax and try to cool down. Because when the temperature was like between 15 to 17 degrees Celsius at night, that's too much. In fact, let me just do a quick double check what that would have been in Fahrenheit. Come on, phone. Let's see. Right, let's change that to Celsius, then change that to Fahrenheit. So let's just say is a medium 15 degrees. That was 59 degrees Fahrenheit at night. That's too much.
And on the hottest day of the year, I did a check on my phone, and it was cooler by about 5 degrees in Africa.
Yep.
You just know there's something wrong.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm looking at it from a more or less a safety and heat comfort perspective to end this season, like I say, late April, early May, because it's difficult enough. Because I think throughout June to early September last year, I'd probably get to bed just before 8 in the morning, and it didn't matter how much sleep I got, the heat was going to wake me up just after 12 in the afternoon. And realistically, the body needs anywhere between 6 to 7 hours sleep just for like reasonable recovery time, because that's what the body does when you're asleep. It's making repairs necessary, and it's giving your brain a chance to heal and be off thinking like you're wearing the Iron Man suit, or Madame Kitsune's won the women's and tag team titles, and Raiden is now Blade's protege. And he's like, dude, don't put thoughts into my head. So yeah, I think that's a sensible time to end the season there, and plus it'll give me a little bit more time to finish up season 19 of Real Features, because after I've gotten through Amazing 2, good Lord help me, that's when I'm going to be plowing heavy into pre-production, production and post-production of what I've got in mind for June. Because I'm going to need those Sundays just to finalize certain details, just to make sure the audio's right. I've gotten, all the graphics and all the copyright footage synced up properly, because I know audio has been an issue. And the thing that some people need to understand is I can only do voiceovers and filming at certain times of the day. Because once it gets past a certain point in the evening, that's where it's like, no, you got to be indoor voice level. And it's fine when you're doing a podcast like this, because you can adjust your voice accordingly whilst not being overbearing or becoming a nuisance for your neighbors. But for voiceover narrations, you have to hit a certain volume, and which is why last week I was able to get all the voiceovers done for the second review of the season, but it took me one afternoon to do it, and afterwards I'm going out for coffee. My voice feels like I've been in an old school RDR session with Oni, and that requires a lot of refluiding or rehydration, whichever your preference. But yeah, this June's going to be something special, and I'm not saying ahead of before time. The only person who knows is Win. And to a subtle extent, Amanda as well, because I asked for her opinion on some certain thumbnails, and she said this is nice, but you need to sort of realign the logo a little bit. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then, you know, this is no secret nor surprise. Season 20 will have the 15th anniversary review of The Dark Knight. But for that one, because that is such a beloved and iconic movie, you go in and, you know, yes, be objective with your opinions and what have you, but do it in a way that's constructive and tasteful. Because here's a little thing that some people may not know. When there were some reviews that went out for The Dark Knight in 2008, one reviewer got death threats, all because he said that it could have been shorter. Let that sink in a minute. This guy got death threats just because the movie could have been 10 to 20 minutes shorter. That is how hardcore some Batman fans are. I stress some, not all, some. But The Dark Knight Rises, oh yeah, I think we can all universally agree that could have been trimmed down a fair amount, because that movie went on way too long. With the Batman, it works. Because I think when you're telling a detective story, especially from a noir perspective, there are certain ones that you need to decompress. But with Dark Knight Rises, it could have done with being at least 20 minutes shorter. Sean says it right there. Some of them need to grow up. But unfortunately, this is the internet. People tend to grow up when it's just about the right time, or some people grow up when it's a little too late. But at the same time, if those are able to grow up and make something better of themselves, then I say this with no sarcasm, good for you. You're actually doing something to better yourself. But yeah. That, and I'm toying with the idea of a Dracula retrospective for October, because vampires have become a thing again in anime, especially with Call of the Night. I want season 2, damn it. I'm not bitter. You know, I just want, you know, more of Nazuna being a troll. Nazuna, for context, imagine Win as a sarcastic trolling vampire waifu. There's your image. I thought I'd get a little bit of a laugh, but alright, never mind. Because some of the things that Nazuna trolls code with, you're like, okay, that was messed up, but it was adorable. Messed up, but it was adorable. Because there's one line that this is just brilliant. There's a group of vampires that are trying to get Ko to choose which one that will turn him, because if he doesn't choose, eventually they'll kill him, because he's a human that knows that vampires exist, so therefore turn him, and he's not a threat. Nazuna says something to the effect of, well, it's just a shotgun marriage. Why don't we just skip the marriage and go straight towards the honeymoon? To which one of the other vampires was like, that's so unbecoming. And I told Win about that. She's like, oh yeah, I need to see this anime. This sounds like fun. And if Win starts to enjoy it, oh good lord, be worried. Okay. Yeah, that's where we stand. Thank you to all those that have tuned in to see this 200th milestone episode that, you know, we're nearly, what is it? So like nearly 5 months away from the 6th anniversary of doing this show. Never thought I would do a podcast that would outdo RDR. And, you know, and Liz can vouch from all the times that she's watched RDR. RDR went on for a while.
It did, yes.
But it's like I've said so many times before. After season 7, I saw the writing on the wall, and I'm like, I'm out. We did, you know, I agreed to do one more season with Oni and L-Man. And to be fair, season 8 was actually one of our better seasons. It was actually one of our most fun, especially hearing Oni's reaction to Hogan returning on Raw in February, March of 2014. But yeah, the storyline with the Authority, it was just killing it, and Raiden's been very vocal about how he felt about the Authoritar around that time. It was crushing everything that was enjoyable, and it didn't help matters that we were adding stuff to the aftermatch at the time. I'm like, dude, I know you mean well, but I have got other content that I have to meet deadlines to. And I think it's just that, like I say, it was getting to a point. It's getting too much. Whereas with this, the only editing that I do is if we've said something that's, reasonably innocent, but hindsight might get taken the wrong way. You just go into Twitch highlight, chop that little bit out, then you put it back out. It's all good. Because that's the one thing that I do enjoy about when it was Google Hangouts, then live streaming from the desktop still via YouTube, and then now to Twitch, is there's a lot more freedom with regards to editing, whereas as much as I enjoyed my time with RDR, it was heavily edited, especially whenever one of us was being called out to another room or something, or we'd have to chop this down and edit that down. It became jarring. So that's one of the things I enjoy so much about this, is with the exception of politics and religion, which in this day and age they're no-go topics to go to, because if you're doing it as a means of saying, as a reference, like, hey, wasn't it true that during the last election one of the names during the post-it votes was Stone Cold Steve Austin? That's fine, because you're referencing it, but you're not getting into the meaty details of politics. And I heard one of the postal names they actually used to vote for either Troy or Biden. One of the other names they put down was, and be prepared to head desk, one of the names they put down was Harambe. I am not making this up. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, okay. But when only mentioned that Stone Cold was one of the names, like, oh, I'd vote for him. Like, imagine his victory speech. Gosh dang. Alright. There's nobody really to do any raiding to this evening, so thank you to Sir Stephen, thank you to Madam President, and thank you to the suaveness that is Zen Master Cyber Raiden. There's a mouthful. Thank you for tuning in to the 200th episode. Do not forget to follow, and if you so choose to, subscribe to Kitsune Rakaku at twitch.tv/Kitsune Rakaku, and the first man, twitch.tv/Onirakaku. And as two personal recommendations of mine, go to X Nuclear Shark at twitch.tv/X Nuclear Shark, and also Aldran at twitch.tv/Aldran, because he is such a classy guy, always wears a suit, and he makes construction simulator games amusing. I'm not kidding. I was going back and forth between his and Amanda's stream the other night, and we're just chatting, whilst he actually jackknifed a semi-truck and actually managed to get it back on its wheels. Let that image sink in a minute. In fact, I will put his Twitter handle in there. Seriously, great guy. And I'll also give a shout out to X Nuclear Shark as well. Give them a follow, give them a sub if you so choose to, because they're worth it. So until next Sunday, I have been the Knight, saying good night from the night.
So,
Take care, everybody.